A lot of people are feeling blue in Massachusetts these days, living in a blue state in a very red era. Donald Trump's victory capped a clean sweep for the Republicans as they control the House, the Senate, and obviously the presidency. The Massachusetts delegation is made up entirely of Democrats, meaning none of them will chair a committee, a position that holds tremendous power over what legislation actually gets brought to the floor for a vote, now federal funds are dispersed. So that's how the official system works. But some of our better-known pals have also spent the last year or so poking the bear, one who's known to carry a grudge.
Intimately with Mr. Trump on, and I question whether he's got the temperament to serve as president.
People should read the history of how Germany elected Hitler. His ideas are not only radical, ridiculous, and immoral, they're also really stupid.
A small, insecure money grubber who doesn't care who gets hurt, a man who will never be president of the United States.
Actually, he will, Senator. Today on the radio, we asked Boston Globe editor Brian McGrory about what he thinks might happen.
Given what Donald Trump has said about settling scores and his actions in the past, I think Massachusetts has every reason to be worried.
Congressman Stephen Lynch on the same show seemed apprehensive but ready for a fight, saying the Founding Fathers constructed a system with what he called a defense from tyranny. Joining me with their thoughts on how we'll fare here in the Blue Zone, our freelance journalist, Joanna Weiss. Joanna, it's good to see you.
Hi. And
Boston Globe State House Bureau Chief Frank Phillips. Bear in mind what your boss said, Frank, when you're answering my questions. Good to see you both.
Not.
You know, let me go down the list, at least in my mind. All Democratic delegation, including some who totally trashed him, as we saw. Every county in the state voted for Hillary Clinton. And our only GOP statewide office holder, you heard, hostile to him until after the election. Tell me that's not a prescription for Massachusetts being in really tough shape in a Trump administration.
I mean, look, it doesn't sound good for the, for the cooperation, for the pork. The one thing I will say, the one potential opening is issue by issue. I mean, this guy, although we know that he is a grudge holder, we also know he's unpredictable on the issues and that some of his principles are definitely not traditional Republican Party principles. So in some ways, he has more in common ideologically with Elizabeth Warren than he does with Paul Ryan.
But this state has done him wrong, as has Warren.
Yes.
Even though so, do you agree with your boss there, Brian McGrory, or do you think this is much ado about not much?
No, it is tough. Charlie Baker's going to have to find some ways, back channeling to Trump. I mean, there's some political ways he can do it. He had Christie, and that is imploded. Christie's been pushed out for various reasons, so he won't have. And that was one of the aces in his hand there, but. I think there are other people. There's Ron Kaufman, who's the national committeeman for the Republican Party. He's very close to Reince Priebus.
You want to say that name again?
Reince Priebus.
No one can say it. It's okay.
Is that okay?
Priebus. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but
but he can use that. There's some. One of the major donors, one of the big people who raise money for him is this David Tomasi from Rasky Associates. There are people they can get into the White House and help him. So it's not impossible. But it'll be tough.
There's one more possible name before we get back to you. Here's a photograph of a guy waiting for an audience today outside Trump Tower. You may recognize him. He likes to be called, I think, Mr. Kraft. And there's a great tweet from Luke O'Neill. Maybe Kraft was just lobbying Trump to get his Super Bowl ring back from his pal Putin. So, I mean, maybe that's a possibility too. What were we going to say there?
I was just going to say it really depends on who is whispering in Trump's ear, and who has his attention. I suspect it maybe who has his attention at any given moment.
Yeah, but if you're both right, whether it's a Kaufman, whether Baker, goes on bended knee, whatever it is, what's the incentive? I mean, I didn't know till Adam Riley did a piece last week. Charlestown Navy Yard closed by Richard Nixon after we're the only state that votes against Richard Nixon. He takes away federal funding from MIT in retaliation. I don't even mean this as a criticism of Trump. He's known to be a vengeful person, as Brian McGrory said today on the radio. Why do we think
he can also turn on a dime. Charlie says something nice about him. He's not like Nixon was. He was very revengeful, and he came after Massachusetts directly. I think Trump's a strange dude, and he can turn on a dime with a compliment. Look at him talking about Obama
and
these
Hillary
days.
Clinton.
And Hillary Clinton. So all he needs is a little massaging and some back channeling, and won't be perfect, but I think he's got a shot at helping the state.
He said this is Donald Trump, National Institutes of Health Terrible was the word he used. We get $2.5 billion from there, second most of any state in the country after California. How about the Green Line extension? We will reach out to Mike Capuano today about that, who obviously has been pivotal on the transportation committee. He says no problem. There are these technical standards which have nothing to do with hello? I mean, you're laughing. You're not on camera right now?
No,
I mean, if that $1 billion could disappear too.
They will be. Charlie kisses the guy's ring, and he'll get the money. I think this guy's very amenable. He changes like a chameleon. Yeah.
And he said that he wants to invest in infrastructure. I mean, again, it's a good thing we don't have a big dig project that we're asking for, because we probably wouldn't get that. But if he's really looking to stimulate the economy and boost the working class with infrastructure projects, we got some for him.
Well, I'll do one more though. There's talk about $1 billion for that Green Line thing. There's also $1 billion a year we'd lose if that Medicaid waiver that Charlie Baker worked so hard on, without going on all the details. Don Berwick, who used to run Medicare and Medicaid, said to us either here or on the radio the other day, is there a chance that's going to be withdrawn? He says, you bet.
Everything's on the table in terms of health care right now. I mean, there really is a lot of upheaval and confusion. I mean, first of all, I will say it's going to take a long time to unravel the Affordable Care Act, and so what goes first is going to, what goes 10th.
But if the core goes, you know more about health care than I do, that means the federal subsidies could go. Charlie Baker said today, don't worry, we'll pick up the subsidies. That's piles and piles of money.
Yeah.
Speaking of Charlie Baker, since in-state politics is your area of expertise, I thought he had a pretty bad day last Tuesday. Not only Trump, he loses question 2, charter schools. He was the front person for a vote on yes. It gets crushed. He loses the marijuana thing, less important. Shirley Young in your paper thought he was a winner because he actually went out and took a risk. Did he damage any of his brand, to use that horrible expression, last Tuesday?
Everybody likes Charlie. I know of a poll that was taken since the election.
About him?
Yeah, he's in mid-60s in his popularity. People like him. He's sincere. He's trying to make government work. He's not a Tea Party radical. He reaches out to everybody. Liberal Democrats still like him. I don't think so. They're not going to hold it. They voted against charter schools, and marijuana? Nah.
Speaking of everybody liking him and liberal, did you say liberal Democrats like him?
I know liberal.
No, I do too. I know quite a few.
You like him. You're a liberal Democrat.
I'm apolitical.
Yeah.
So Seti Warren says I'm not going to run for re-election. I was with him that morning, and he's talking about his future. And 2 hours later, he withdraws. Good reporter I am, I should say. But he says he's not running for re-election. The conventional wisdom is this field that doesn't exist may now have an opponent. Maybe Seti Warren, soon-to-be former mayor of Newton. Is he the guy? Who is the guy?
It's
or woman.
At this stage, it looks like it's going to be hard to be the guy for Charlie. He's Charlie Baker's approval ratings. He may still be the most popular governor in the country based on approval ratings. 2 years is a long time, so you never know. And someone's got to do it. I mean, someone's got to step up and
Sacrificial lamb, is that all we get for Charlie Baker?
It depends. As Joanna says, 2 years is a long time, and as numbers go down, you might see somebody come along. Whoever thought Deval Patrick would come along in 2005, 2006 and just swept the state? You don't know what can happen in 2 years. It's a lifetime, as I like
to say. You get a
say.
Donald Trump as president. You never know.
You never know.
Joanna Weiss, it's good to see you. Frank Phillips, it's good to see you, too.
You really?
Pleasure.
Really was?
Yeah, it was, actually. Nice to see you.